Okay, so today I'm going to make over this plastic flower pot that, the kind that comes with the plants that you buy, and then usually throw these out, put things in a nicer flower pot. And I was actually going to throw this one out too, but then I thought, let me see if I can do something with it. And so I did. I kind of revamped it a little bit, and I'm going to put a plant in it and just keep it for myself. So I took off the little hanging things that you can make this like a hanging pot. And then I just went over the plastic flower pot with skeleton key from Debbie's Design Diary. I do love this color. It's really super pretty. So I'm going to give it, I think maybe 2 coats of the skeleton key and then proceed from there. Okay, so now I'm going to take some Iron Orchid Design molding clay, and I'm going to just kind of smush it onto this Iron Orchid Design stamp, just to get kind of like that pattern on the clay. And then I'm just going to glue the clay on the flower pot that is now dried. The paint has dried, and we're going to use, I usually use wood glue, but I'm out of wood glue, so I'm using this other kind of glue. It's okay as long as you don't use hot glue. That doesn't work. I started out using hot glue when I first started using these products, and the hot glue really does not work well at all. So this is it's called, the glue that I'm using, it's called, E600. So yeah, and this has worked before, and it works as well as a wood glue. Although I prefer wood glue, this does the job as well. So you need to make sure you get glue in the middle, in the center, and on the sides. And one thing to note is that the clay, the paper clay, is going to shrink a little bit and crack. And that's okay, because I want it to look kind of like an older flower pot. So yes, and then when you put it on the flower pot, just either tape it on there so it doesn't move, because it is going to want to slide, and then just let that dry before you peel that paint off. Okay, so now I'm going to continue on with the paper clay, but this time I'm using a different mold. I didn't use a mold before. I'm using a mold, and I'm just going to create these little patterns to put on the flower pot. And using the paper clay on this is not hard at all. You just gotta warm it up in your hand a little bit by rolling it, and then just kind of spread the paper clay on the mold. You can use a credit card to smooth it out. Just make sure it's nice and smooth, and then just pull back gently so you don't tear it. And again, you're going to use glue, whatever glue you're using, to put this around your flower pot. So once it's dried, you can pull off that tape. I use painter's tape so it doesn't pull off the paint. And that should be stuck on there nice and good. Nice and good? Yeah, nice and good. And then we're going to move on to the next step. Well, I was hoping to put the hanging part on this flower pot back on, but silly me, I totally put paper clay over where that piece that makes the flower pot hang clips on. So that's totally not going to happen. That's all right. It doesn't need to hang. The next thing we're going to do is I am going to put some rose stamps around the flower pot, and I'm going to use, again, Iron Orchid Design ink stamps and their ink pad. And this is really fun and easy to do as well. So I'm using black ink. I know it looks like there's red here. That's okay. I tend to mix my inks just like I do my paint. There's not a problem with that. Okay, so I pour my ink onto the ink pad, and I switch it around a little bit because you want it to get all over the ink pad. And then I just kind of pat either the ink pad on the stamp or the stamp on the ink pad. It doesn't matter. And then you're just going to gently put this on the flower pot, the stamp that is, and not move once you get it there, because if you move, it's going to get all blurry. And yeah, then I'm going to paint the top of where I put that other paper clay trim there with the pretty flowers. And then I have to let for all of this to dry so that I can seal it. And I'm also going to paint that first mold that I put on. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little finger painting with white, and I'm putting this again over the gray that I put over the paper clay that I used as trim for this flower pot. And I'm also going to put it on that front part of the paper clay that I used to put on the very front of this flower pot. Okay, so now I'm going to seal this flower pot. I am going to use clear wax. Usually you don't use wax. I wouldn't anyways. For something you're going to put outside, you would use something hardier. But I am going to keep this flower pot inside. So I'm going to use a clear wax. And then after that, I'm going to use some white decrepit dust. Both of these items are also from Debbie's Design Diary. And so the clear wax is going to seal all the paint, the roses that we put on here, the ink and all of that. And then the white decrepit dust on top of the clear wax is just going to give it that white hue. I think it would make it a little bit more like French looking. You ever see those French like flower pots? They're really pretty and got that white hue. So that's what this is going to do right here. Okay, so this is a little extra step that you probably don't need to take, but sometimes I just don't know when to stop. So I did some dark wax and I put it again on the front of that first paper clay that I put there in the middle of the flower pot. And then I'm going to actually put the dark wax in different spots of the flower pot just to kind of give it like an older kind of look. So not the whole flower pot because I don't want to take that white hue away, but just here and there wherever it feels right. Okay, so here's another step that I'm going to take that you don't necessarily need to take. I'm using copper patina, also from Debbie's Design Diary, and this is really pretty. And I like to use this to highlight, when I'm painting, the pretty parts of things. And that's pretty much it. What do you think?